All right, hi. So this is Chad. This is the one of the first videos for um, illustration talking about watercolor. And it seems like when you first get a kit, it's good to figure out what colors you can produce with the colors you have. And so I'm going to recommend, this is our first assignment, to produce a color chart. And a few things to point out here is that all your colors are listed along one side, like either the top or bottom, and then they're also listed in the same order along the other, either left or right. So what the idea is to create a chart that shows all the color combinations you can possibly create with two colors from your watercolor kit. So where these meet, we're going to have a pure hue of that color. So this diagonal line represents where all the colors are in their, it's just the color itself, right? My concern with the way this example is laid out is that it's repeating the exact same thing on both sides. Now they may be doing something that I'm not seeing right now, but here's purple. So there's purple, and then this one's purple, okay? So this color, which is purple and Quin Rose, and this color, which is Quin Rose and purple, are the same color. And I think we can do a little better than that. I feel like here's cerulean blue right here and purple. And then if we go to purple and cerulean blue, you can see these two are different. This one's lighter, and I think that's a good thing to do, is to make like one side of the chart lighter and one darker, or to make one side more dominant one color and the other side the more dominant the other color. So let's say we have lemon yellow and cobalt blue. Well, this is going to be pure lemon yellow, and this is going to be pure cobalt blue, but right here should be a nice mix of the two, okay, this one. So what I'm suggesting is perhaps do one side of the chart in this range or something like that, and then this side of the chart the other range. So this is a bright green right in the middle of it, so this might be a kind of a green blue, and this one might be a greenish yellow. So I guess that's what I'm saying. And the way that I internalize it, the way I'm thinking of it is, let's say we looked at the purples, right? Well, let's go one off of that. So the Quin Rose, they kind of mislabeled this. They put Quin Red and Quin Rose. So I'm just going to choose this red. So for Quin Red and purple, I would probably say designate one side or the other as the heavy side. So meaning, let's say this long side is going to be the dominant color. So if we were to look at when we did purple with Quin Red, the purple, since we let's say we read this one first, the purple is going to become more dominant. But where we see that again is right here. And this time we have Quin Red named first, and then the purple later. So now this one, which they could look the same, this one would be more Quin Red and purple, and this one would be more purple and Quin Red. So this gives you more of a variety of what your colors can do. And I hope that makes sense. I hope I said it right. A more simpler way is to just do it lighter, right? So do all these nice and rich and dark, and do everything on this side, just a watered down version of the same color. For me, I'm going to do a more dominant color on mine. And now let's get into drawing the chart. There's a few ways to do it. One is just to make a grid and to put the colors with a little bit of white around them by, just rubbing it down. Another way to do it is to do it where you might fill in the whole rectangle, and so you have these little empty gutters that help separate the color. It doesn't matter to me, whatever you feel comfortable with. What I did on mine, I cheated, and I used graph paper and taped it down, and then put it on a window or a light table, and then traced. I kind of figured out how many squares I'm going to do. So I have 9 going on here, and I'm just going to choose. I'd like you to do all your colors, but I have maybe 24 colors, and so I'm going to choose 9 appropriate colors to work on here. And I'll label them on each side, and then I'll start going. Well, it's kind of a tough one. I think I'm gonna get a spray bottle, and I should have mentioned, if you don't have a spray bottle, good idea to get one. It's a nice way to re-wet paints, and you could go like to the dollar store and buy one and buy something with the spray bottle and rinse it out. Doesn't have to be anything super fancy. Let me just show you one of my spray bottles that I take with me when I go plein air painting, which is painting in the painting on site in the open air. This is a really cheap one. Also, I've seen the big ones with the nozzles that you would, you know what I'm talking about, like these type of things. So I've seen those type of working as spray bottles as well. So totally open to whatever works best for you. I'm going to start labeling my colors. Okay. So at this point, I've labeled all my colors, and I'm working right now on Winsor Yellow from Winsor Newton. And what my goal here is to, as you can see, I put a lot of color on the top left, and then I put water on the right, and I wanted it to make a gradiated wash so I could see the pure color in its full form and then down to nearly paper white. And just loaded my brush up with the next color, which is Winsor Newton New Gamboge. And I think I'm pronouncing that right. But yeah, it's a very gold color. And here I'm just trying to wet the entire paper before I wash to see if I can get a better gradient. So it's just a test. So we'll see how this one works. I mean, I'm doing the voiceover, so just looking at the color chart, it worked okay. I think it's just an extra step that I didn't need to do. So I ended up not doing it too much more on the rest of the colors. So I think you kind of get the idea. So right now I'm using burnt sienna, loaded my brush, and since I'm doing a full chroma of that, full hue, I dump that all in the top left corner and down, and then I rinse it out, tap my brush on the sponge, get some water, fill in the rest, and then just let that kind of run into it. So I still get that gradient wash. What am I moving to? CAD Scarlet. Anyway, water, that's what I'm arms up on the water, and then I'm wiping it on the sponge to get most of the water out. So that's kind of a good practice to do. I mean, there's a few things that are some unwritten things that you don't really see or you don't pay attention to, right? But it's really rinsing your brush out every time you grab a new color so you don't pollute another color. And then once your brush is, obviously when you pull it out of water, it's loaded full of water. So you want to take some of that wet out. And so you'll see every time I pull it out of color, I touch it on that sponge to pull some of the water out of it. Okay, so for example, there's the wipe, and with the remaining water, I'm adding that to the bottom right corner. Wash, there's the sponge, and it might be multiple hits to it. Hopefully that makes sense. That process is pretty darn important. It helps you control your water. So here I'm rinsing, and then I'm wiping on the lid and then hitting the sponge. Now I noticed I hit the sponge, but I didn't do it like 3 or 4 or 5 times. I just did it once. And so that did keep some water in the brush. So if you keep hitting it, it'll dry it out quite a bit like that. I hit it like, 4 or 5 times. Okay, hopefully that's enough information. So I'm just going to let you watch me just kind of finish painting these out. And then after all fast forwarding the process, then I'll go and talk a little bit about more what we have in the end product. Also, I should have mentioned that I'm not going to put any like music to this. It's not entertainment, it's more educational. So don't expect that with my videos. Although once in just a few minutes when I start filling out the other rectangles, it does get kind of fun looking just because how quick it is. Okay, so this is the finished chart. So everything down on this diagonal is the pure color, and I tried to keep a gradient on each one so you can so I could kind of see, and maybe you could kind of see what colors, how it lightens up instead of a solid. I think what's really interesting to me is that these colors are made with the same colors. Payne's Gray and Windsor Yellow. And so are these and these. And this is an ultramarine blue and Windsor Yellow. And so just looking at the differences in color are pretty pretty strong. And I kind of like this way now that I've done it, where this top right half is more, well, they're different. Okay, so what I tried to do is keep everything I painted in this row dominant of this name over here. So I tried to keep the Winsor Newton yellow dominant, and the New Gamboge dominant here, burnt sienna. What I really enjoy about these is the idea of just color groups that are made. So I think these become very strong analogous colors. And then these also become strong family groups. Oops, that flipped over. These also become strong family groups, but they're not analogous. They are more just of the same color family, because they all have had that burnt sienna used in the mix. But the burnt sienna was really a minor factor in each of these, obviously except the burnt sienna, but you see what I'm getting at. So this New Gamboge, this shows all the colors and their strength with a little bit of New Gamboge added. And there's just some really strong and interesting color families when these start isolating, and they really look fantastic together. So I wanted to share that with you. So this is the assignment. This is what you will take a picture of or a scan and submit. So I just wanted to end on this final color chart if you wanted to get a close-up of it, or if you wanted to, take a screenshot or whatever it was to help. Anyway, here it is. And yeah, look for a project sheet in Canvas.